This is Austin with Croatan Custom Homes. Today we're going to be going over the Pella Defender and the 250 series. I got one of the best reps in town, Robert Parnell, here to talk to us a little about the differences. All right, hey Robert, will you tell us a little bit about the Defender window here?
This is a window, Defender series window by Pella Window and Doors. It's a single hung impact glass. As you can see, if Austin will show you, we're right at the ocean front. So we're using impact glass on the entire house. All of our impact glass window is literally made by Cardinal Glass, which is the top of the line glass company. You don't buy a finer glass than Cardinal, and it's just like a car tire. Nobody makes their own car tires, you know, so we use the top of the line suppliers. So this impact glass is of course double pane. The exterior pane would be a single pane of glass, and on the inside layer, that's is what we call the lammy, the sandwich. It's the impact layer, and what that does is it consists of three layers. You got the exterior layer is glass, and then the interior is your lamination that is sealed together. And what that prevents is if flying debris from any of these houses during a named storm or a storm would hit this piece of glass, the outer piece of glass will break. Even the impact layer is designed to also break, but it is designed to absorb energy. One of the ways it was explained to me is it's like a catcher's mitt. You got flying debris with a lot of energy. It has to hit something, and that part has to absorb the energy, and that is where the impact and the lamination, what that does to the flying debris. It actually absorbs the energy out of the material, so therefore it's just going to fall to the ground and not fly. What it can't do is the lamination cannot tear to a certain amount of inches to allow water and air infiltration in. The next thing also what we talking about, and this is North Carolina codes. Each state can have their additional state codes, but in North Carolina, when we talk about design pressures, we usually try to stick at a minimum of what we call design pressure 50. And basically what that is telling us is during a named storm, a storm or of any type of storm, is this window failure would be that lock breaks. The sash gets blown in by your positive energy. Your positive energy is the wind side of the house, and that can create a vacuum effect and create what we call the negative side of energy on the back side of the house. So the whole purpose of this window is keeping it intact to make sure that your home is intact after the storm. One of the great things that I like what Pella did with their impact glass series that a lot of companies have not moved to, but I see them moving to it. It's just a superior lock system for one, safety, defense, and then storm defense. And this is just called an auto lock, and it's only offered, it's an optional lock on our series, but on an impact glass rated window, that's what you're going to get with Defender series. An auto lock is basically you open the lock just like any, but as soon as you shut it, it locks in place. So you don't have to worry when you went out of town when the storm came, did I lock my windows? Just as long as you shut that window is going to lock on you. So on this house here, we went with a single hung window. Single hungs can tend to be a little stronger because the top sash is fixed. Also, it allows a half screen and more clarity out to be able to see the views, which they have a lot of views. A lot of people get really concerned about, well, how do I clean my windows and everything? Well, basically this window would be cleaned off the deck. But say if there wasn't a way to clean the exterior off, is it still has a tilt latch system to allow this sash to tilt inside to be able to clean it from the inside. So now we move to the exterior of the glass. So some of the benefits that we see with high performing windows such as this is glass is held in by what we call a glazing bead. A lot of people, old school people, call it a stop because it used to be a wood stop. These are plastic glazing beads. Pella puts them to the exterior. The reason is when wind hits that glass, it actually creates a tighter seal to the interior extrusion. The interior extrusion is totally solid, so there's no way that this glass can. Not saying there's no way, there's always a way, but this glass is less likely to blow inside because our glazing beads are to the exterior. So that means, and what does that mean? Is to get this glass out or put this glass in, you got to snap these glazing beads out to be able to pull this glass out, or to put this glass in when they made it, and then they put the glazing beads, snap it on to hold it in. The glass is also held in with what we call a wet sealant versus a dry sealant. Different companies do different approaches. Pella, actually, we use both systems, so I'm not going to say one's better than the other, but in our impact glass, the higher performing way to seal glass into a frame is wet sealant. And just picture wet sealant. There's all different types that manufacturers use and for different scenarios and fenestrations, but just picture it as like a caulk. It's wet. Where dry sealant, just picture that as like a double back sticky tape. Like I said, Pella, we use both systems, but in our impact glass lines, it is going to be a wet glaze system. Once again, cardinal glass, which makes 75% of the window, is what we're using. Our nail fins are 1.5 inches. They're integrated into the frame, our PVC frame here. We do have an accessory groove that goes around the window to be able to help. Some people like to break full stock, to put inside, more so on window replacement. And then of course this window here would have a half screen, not a full screen, that would sit in the screen track down here. So one thing in Pella, and I can only talk about our vinyl windows, is we use a weep system because and almost everybody in the industry has gone this direction, is everything's welded together, so it's like a cup. So one thing that we create in the Outer Banks, which is just a super high wind zone, getting more hurricanes than anybody else in the world, is we got to create a water management system. We know we're going to have to deal with water. Now we have to manage it to the right side of the weather wrap. And you can see we have a skirt that our tar paper and everything will come under, and then a wrap like a duck's feather, so water runs down it. We'll tape off our nail fins, top and bottom, and then we'll run our weather wrap up there. We do like to leave a dry nail fin because, say, if this window does leak, we do have to manage the water to the exterior. So we do ask for a dry nail fin. Now in the Outer Banks, we know that in a hurricane, water will run 18 inches up a wall. So what we do, since it's a dry nail fin, is we'll just take another piece of paper, weather wrap, we'll just call it weather wrap, and we'll put over the dry nail fin. So therefore, once we get siding, if water gets underneath it, it won't run up underneath your nail fin. And we call that a high wind skirt. And basically that's just an Outer Banks thing that we've been doing here for a long time, just because we know water runs up walls during hurricanes. And our nor'easters are way more powerful than the hurricanes, than a lot of hurricanes we deal with. Just the news doesn't cover them in fear. But what I want to show you is we know water's going to get inside during a hurricane of a window. So we have a weep system, self-locking system, just got me. So now when water gets in here, it's just like a ditch system. I call it a weep system, and the water's going to get in behind here, and then it's going to come in, and it'll come out what we call a weep ports here. So any water that does infiltrate in behind that weather strip right there would go into the trough and then would flow out of your weep systems. That we also have a cover up right there from keeping airflow, pushing water back inside. That's a major factor in achieving water management to the exterior. Now this is the 250 series, engineered by Pella Window and Doors again. It's a PVC vinyl window inside and out. This would be our non-impact glass line. It achieves multiple design pressure levels, all the way from a DP 30 to over a DP 55. Sliding glass doors. This happens to be a double hung window. So what we wanted to show you was the non-impact double hung 250 series and the differences in some of the differences and the similarities. It's all Cardinal glass. It's just not going to be impact glass, but it's still going to be from Cardinal glass. That's the only people that we do business with in the glass world for our windows. My selling point of this window right off the bat is like an armadillo. Or another way I paint a scenario is the old Spartan warriors, where they would make the turtle shield and all their shields would come together and bond together so nothing could penetrate, during warfare. And that's how this window is built, to be honest with you. You have a slope seal right here. On the middle, you have a sealed dam to keep water from running up and coming over, and also running down. You have a second seal dam on the very inside of your window for water to come back in, because water will, during a named storm, get over there, over this one dam. So now we have a second dam. So now it's like, well, why are you talking about an armadillo? Well, they locked themselves together during the time of war also, just like the Spartans. This is called a sash that moves up and down. In a double hung, you have two sashes that move. Where the single hung, you just had one sash that moved. But this window here has a forward seal dam, and underneath this lip is a piece of foam. So when you shut this down, it actually locks over that seal dam right there. So any water coming down is going to get shed over seal dam number one. Any water that's getting wind driven up will hopefully get stopped by the gasket. We do know that this is Outer Banks. Water's going to come in, so now we got to keep managing it out. So if you look, open this window and you look, we have the trough system again with two weep holes right where the water would come in, because you had to end the lip right here. So the water would come in right there and right there, and right below it is a hole in the trough that's going to manage the water. And then what it's going to do is there's a slope seal inside. It'll weep itself right back out the weep port. So once again, any little bit of water that gets over seal dam number one is hopefully going to get drained out of the weep ports. We also add an extra protection so it doesn't come room side as part of the extrusion. It's about 1 1/8 inches tall, 1 1/4 tall, and it's seal dam number 2. So this one seal has about a 12-degree slope to keep water running down. You got a seal dam there, a sash that locks over, a piece of foam to cut air and water out. Once again, you have a glazing bead to the exterior, not the interior. We do not recommend glazing beads to the interior. And the reason we don't recommend it is in high performance windows is that you picture 100 mile per hour wind constantly hitting this piece of glass, or say 20 years of wind hitting that glass. If this stop was on the inside, eventually it comes loose, and then water just starts coming around the glass. So that's why in our high performance windows, we do put all of our glazing beads to the exterior. So that's the exterior thing. This is being a double hung, you have an option for a half screen. The screen track comes all the way up, of course, for a full screen. In case you do want to tilt your sash down, you would have a screen option for up here too. But as stated, it does have an option for a half screen for people that just don't want a full screen. They'll never drop it. So the double hung, one of the features that people do like about the double hung, and I pointed out in the single hung, is the top sash is fixed. Well, the double hung isn't fixed. If you grew up with, like me, without AC, we used a box fan. We dropped the top sash, we cracked the bottom sash, and we created a convection in our house. That's just showing how old I am. So a true double hunger like me, that's why this window is important to me. That sash is important, that it drops down, because I still use a box fan. The next reason why, say, most homeowners that are very concerned on how are you going to clean your windows, is both sashes tilt in. I'll have to use my hand, it's not installed. To tilt the sashes in very easily to clean that sash. And then on the sash lifts here are hit up top. You just do it, and it's literally that easy. Whether it's installed or not, they come in that easy. I also want to point out that these window strips have some of the most weather strip of any windows that is made for high performance areas. We call this mohair or thin weather strip, or at least that's what I call it. So then you just push the window back in, make sure it's snapped in. Make sure it's snapped in, lift up, down. This comes with a cam lock. A cam lock's not an auto lock. We do have an option for auto locks, even without non-impact. So a lot of people just used to cam locks. So normally that's how it comes, but you can get the auto lock like we do on all of our impact glass windows as an option for the 250 series also. This is not offered in impact glass, but it is offered in triple pane glass, which is just more for energy efficiency versus impact glass loads or anything like that. So once again, this is the 250 series. Pella's #1 selling vinyl window, and it's just one heck of a system.